The Catalyst, Episode 2, Choice Architecture. Eleanor is a project manager at a consulting firm. Her team has just come through a difficult sprint, delays, a missed handoff, and a client complaint that landed badly. She puts together 3 options for how the team should address the situation. Option A, escalate to senior leadership. Option B, the team owns it and resolves directly with the client. Option C, form a small working group to investigate root causes first. She presents option A first. The team discusses it for 4 minutes. Option B gets 2 minutes. Option C gets 30 seconds. The team votes. Option A wins easily. 3 months later, at a leadership workshop, Eleanor learns about the primacy effect, the documented tendency to favor the first option encountered, not because it is the best option, but simply because it was first. She sits very still. She had not chosen option A because it was right. She had chosen it because it was presented first. She had designed that meeting. She had decided the order. She had accidentally architected her own outcome. And here is what makes it land harder. She had run that same structure dozens of times. On budget calls, resource allocation, vendor selection, project direction. Every single time, the first option had won. She had never once noticed. If the structure of choices, not just the choices themselves, shapes what people decide, what does that mean for you? It means every meeting you design, every proposal you write, every agenda you set. You are already doing choice architecture. The only question is whether you are doing it consciously or not. Welcome to The Catalyst. Episode 2. Let us get into it. Choice architecture is the deliberate or unconscious design of the environment in which people make decisions. It does not change the options available. It changes how those options are presented. And in doing so, it powerfully shapes what people choose. The concept was introduced by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein in their 2008 book, Nudge. Thaler later won the Nobel Prize in economics for this work. Their central insight: there is no such thing as a neutral choice environment. Every time options are presented, they arrive in some order, some framing, some context, and that structure influences the decision whether the designer intended it or not. A school cafeteria places fruit at eye level and desserts at the back. No child is forbidden from choosing dessert, but fruit consumption rises 25%. No rules changed. Only the architecture changed. To understand why this works, you need to understand how your brain makes decisions. Daniel Kahneman's research describes 2 cognitive systems. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, intuitive. It forms judgments in milliseconds before conscious thought arrives. System 2 is slow, deliberate, analytical, careful. It handles complex calculations and careful evaluation. But it requires real effort. System 1 handles approximately 95% of all daily decisions. System 2 handles 5%. By the time you consciously evaluate options, System 1 has already formed a preference based on what appeared first, what was framed as the default, and what felt familiar. Choice architecture works at that level, before logic even enters the room. There are 6 core mechanisms. The first is defaults. What happens when someone does nothing? Defaults exploit human inertia and the implicit trust that someone thoughtful made the pre-selection. In 2012, the UK switched pension enrollment from opt-in to opt-out. Participation rose from 61 to 83% in 3 years. One design change. No new rules. Dramatic shift in behavior. The second is framing. In a famous medical study, doctors chose between two identical treatments. 90% survival rate. 84% chose it. 10% mortality rate. Only 50% chose it. Same data. Different frame. Completely different decision. The third is anchoring. The first number introduced becomes the reference point for everything that follows, even when arbitrary. All subsequent judgments adjust relative to that anchor. The fourth is the East framework. Make the desired option easy. Reduce friction. Make it attractive, visible and relevant. Make it social. Show what comparable people are doing. Make it timely. Present it when people are receptive, not exhausted. The fifth is choice overload. Barry Schwartz found that more choice leads to worse decisions. 24 jam varieties on display, 3% bought. 6 varieties, 30% bought. Fewer options produced 10 times more action. The sixth is social proof. A UK study found one sentence added to tax letters. 9 out of 10 people in your area pay on time. Increased payments more than any penalty message. One sentence about what others do. More effective than everything else combined. Now, let us bring this into your work directly. Meeting design is a choice architecture. Agenda order. Who speaks first? How options are labeled. All shape outcomes. Eleanor's fix. Share options in writing before the meeting. Ask for individual responses before group discussion. Everyone forms their own view independently. The anchor of whoever speaks first is neutralized. Retrospective questions are a framing choice. What went wrong creates defensiveness. What would make next sprint 10% better creates psychological safety and forward momentum. Same team, same sprint. Completely different quality of insight, purely because of how the question was framed. Risk presentations are usually architecturally poor. Most registers are listed by the date they were logged, forcing your steering committee to prioritize in real time under pressure. A well-architected risk presentation sorts by impact and probability, presents a recommended mitigation, clearly labeled, and limits active decisions to 3 or 4, not 14. Stakeholder proposals are choice architecture documents, presenting 3 options: basic, recommended, premium. Consistently outperforms one option or 5. The middle option appears balanced. The client feels genuine choice. But the architecture guides them toward your recommendation. This is the Goldilocks effect, one of the most reliably effective structures in proposal writing. Choice architecture also shapes entire organizations. Austria and Germany have similar cultures and similar attitudes toward organ donation. Austria uses opt-out. You are a donor by default. Participation. Essentially 100%. Germany uses opt-in. You must actively register. Participation. 12%. The difference is not values, not culture. It is entirely the default. One design decision. That is the power of architecture at scale. Your project status reporting template is a choice architecture. If it defaults to green, most projects report green until they are catastrophically red. Redesign the default. Require a deliberate status selection each cycle. On ethics, a nudge is ethical when it is transparent and genuinely serves the person being nudged, not just the architect. Pension auto-enrollment passes that test. Recommending one option in a proposal passes that test. Dark patterns, cancellation flows buried behind 5 screens, guilt trip language designed to stop people leaving. Do not. For project managers, the question is simple. Would you be comfortable if the people you are nudging could see exactly how you structured this environment? If yes, proceed. If you hesitate, redesign. Here are 6 moves you can make this week. 1. Label one option as recommended. In every proposal or decision document, identify your best evaluated option clearly. Sharing your recommendation reduces cognitive load and guides without forcing. 2. Lead with gains. Reframe every risk message and delay update in terms of what is protected, not what is lost. Gain frames create collaboration. Loss frames create resistance. 3. Anchor your numbers first. In any budget or negotiation, name your figure before the other party introduces theirs. The first number becomes the reference point for everything that follows. 4. Limit options to 3. Present your 3 best evaluated choices. You are not withholding information. You are doing the evaluation work so your audience does not have to. More than 3 produces choice overload. 5. Use social proof deliberately. When proposing a methodology change or new tool, cite comparable adoption. 3 teams switched to this approach last quarter, and all 3 delivered on time is more persuasive than any abstract argument. 6. Redesign your retrospective questions. Replace what went wrong with what would make next sprint 10% better. Growth frames produce psychological safety. Psychological safety produces honest, useful insight. 5 things to carry forward. 1. There is no neutral choice environment. Every meeting and document you create is already architecting someone's decision. Do it consciously. 2. System 1 is running the show. Your stakeholders make most decisions before logical thinking switches on. Design for it. 3. Defaults are the most powerful tool you have. What is easy and automatic is what gets chosen. Set them with intention. 4. Framing is design, not spin. The same truth framed differently produces completely different decisions. 5. The ethical test is simple. Would you be comfortable if the people you are nudging could see exactly how you structured this environment? If yes, proceed. If you hesitate, redesign. Think about one recurring meeting you run. What is presented first? What is the default? How are options framed? What would you redesign now that you see it differently? If this episode shifted how you think about decision-making on your projects, share it with one person on your team today. Coming up next on The Catalyst, understanding the people you are working with. Because even the best architected decisions can unravel when stakeholder relationships are not managed well. Stay tuned.